In this poorly lit episode, expensive cameras with fast frame rates and extra features can make playing with time a breeze. Some cameras take a picture every number of seconds to create a time lapse, or some cameras have high frames per second, 60, 120 or even higher, to capture a super smooth slow motion. But today I'm going to tell you how to create time lapses in slow-mo without any of that, using my entry-level camera and Premiere Pro. So to create a time lapse on a camera that doesn't have an option to take a picture every number of seconds, you're going to need to just hit record and leave your camera running. However, some cameras will have a record limit, as does mine. To minimize the record limit, you'll need to have at least a class 10 SD card, something fast enough to keep writing as the camera rolls on for longer. Even so, your camera may have a recording limit, which I believe is 30 minutes for my camera. Because of this, it's useful to know your time so you can check in on it before the recording stops. For this project, I never had an issue and my camera was able to run on for as long as I needed it to. One other issue, when you reach a certain amount of data written for that recording, the camera will automatically split your recording into a number of different files. So this is the first thing we have to sort out. In my editor, I'm going to bring in all the files, and because the files are split automatically, you can just splice them immediately together in your timeline. Then what I'm going to do is combine the clips into one sequence. So right click on both of them and click nest, and I'll call this time lapse. We're not going to need audio for the time lapse, so I'm going to unlink and remove my audio. Creating time lapses in post are dead easy. All you need to do is speed up the footage. In Premiere, I can do this simply by selecting the rate stretch tool and compressing the size of my file. An alternative to this is to right click, go to speed and duration, and set the speed to your desired percentage speed up. To preview your time lapse, create an in and out point around it and press the enter key. This will render out the file so that it can be played in real time. Okay, so now we see we've got our sped up footage. I can already tell that this is going to be too slow, so for our next render I'm going to speed it up a bit more. Keeping in mind that the faster you make it, the fewer frames you've got to render and the quicker your process will be. Excellent, so now we've got a quick passing of time showing all the events happening in this scene. As you can see, it's cutting between a lot of still frames very sharply, which is not very appealing to the eye. We can do something about this. If you right click and go to speed and duration, then select frame blending from the time interpolation drop down and click OK. And now re-render your footage. Now what we can see is that the frames are blending into each other. This makes for a much smoother and cooler time lapse. Excellent, I'm happy with the speed and it's playing fast enough that you can see the motion, but not too fast that it's too hard to take in all at once. Now it's simply brushing up the footage. I wasn't too happy that this was on a slight tilt. I'm going to rotate it so the angles in the frame are straighter. And then we're going to need to increase the scale to get rid of those black edges around the side from that scale up. Excellent, so now we have a better composed shot. I usually also add a little zoom into the time lapses by keyframing the scale inward across the length of the clip. And even something subtle like this adds a whole lot to the time lapse. Now slow-mo is another tricky one if your camera can't handle those high frame rates. My camera's maximum frame rate, for example, is 50 frames per second, and even at that you've got to be shooting at 720p. Not a fair trade. So instead, shoot at 1080 resolution at 24-25 frames per second, and you can still create a convincing slow-mo with this trick in post. Firstly, choose the section you want to make in slow-mo, and as we did before, use the rate stretch tool to extend the time. As you can see, this is going to look horribly choppy at first, so we're going to do a similar effect to the time lapse. Right click, go to your speed and duration, and this time turn the time interpolation into optical flow. Click OK, select the footage, and press enter to render. So now if we have a look, beautifully slowed down, looking like some hard lads. Now if you want to even take your slow-mos to the next level, you can use the speed ramping effect. To do this, make a keyframe under the time remapping section of your effects panel and pull apart these two little keyframe markers. Now right click your footage, click show clip keyframes, time remapping and speed. This will show time remapping keyframes instead of opacity keyframes. The distance between these two keyframes is the time over which the change in speed will happen, so we want to keep this quite short. Select the keyframe on your clip, and to the left of the keyframe outside the grey area, pull up the rubber band. Because our clip is currently 25% of the original speed, we're going to speed it up to about 400% at the start of the clip to match the original clip speed. If we just pull apart the time over which this change will happen a little bit, we can see that we start fast and transition into a slow-mo breakdown. Now we just need to re-render the section of the clip we want. And then we have our beautifully transitioning clip from the original speed to crisp, clean, slow motion. I personally love using time lapses and slow-mo to add a little bit different into things like event videography, such as this example here. I'll be doing a full video on the particular video that these clips are from in the near future. And thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next post-it.